Today we talk about Moondrop KATO and compare it with other popular Moondrop IEMs and similarly priced Tanchjim new Hana. Let's check this out. KATO stands for KXXS, Advanced Technology Optimized. So basically it's an upgraded version of KXXS. By the time I shoot this video, I have been listening to them side by side, and actually it really is much better than the old KXXS, but the price is exactly the same. And I'm gonna explain why is that while I compare it with Blessing 2 and Starfield, but now let's start with the unboxing. KXXS was released 2.5 years ago. Moondrop wasn't that popular back then. They didn't have those crazy IEMs like Starfield, Aria, and Blessing 2. And here it is, the case, the new air tips, and switchable nozzles. After all these years of growth and development in the audio industry, it's really exciting to see how are they gonna resurrect their old flagship. So here I have KXXS and KATO together to compare them. The cable is basically, KATO is much bigger and thicker than KXX now. The plug is also a little bit bigger. The whole feeling is making it thicker and bigger in size, and KATO being a little bit heavier. But although it being heavier because of this new tip, which is really soft and comfortable, the first time I look at this tip and I touch it with my hands, I felt like that really felt like cotton. Well, that is very far from it, but the thing is, it's very soft, but it's not that loose, it still is very firm. Just when you put it into your ears, it feels so comfortable and soft. Because of that reason, KATO feels much more comfortable to wear than KXXS, although it is a little bit heavy. So the overall build quality is basically KATO being a little bit bigger and heavier than KXXS. The comfort is upgraded because of the new ear tips. And before I go into the sound, one more thing needs to be mentioned is sensitivity. KATO needs noticeably less amount of power to drive them to a listenable level, which makes it really easy to drive just using your phone and computer and making it easy available in portable uses. I use Topping A30 Pro and D30 Pro as DAC and amplifier combination because of their extremely low distortion with complete transparency and neutrality that doesn't add any color to the sound. When I first put this on, it wasn't very impressive. It sounded very similar with Starfield, but having a little bit more warmth and a little more transparency and soundstage. So this is not what I've been expecting for these 2 years of upgrade and another extra $100. But after switching it to a different nozzle, then it started having its own distinct and special new sound that I can enjoy. At this point, it sounds very warm. The treble has more extension, and this treble is still less emphasized. It's still gonna be having less clarity and less forwardness, but with this extension they're combining together, you have this good sense of treble having a really airy further but good sense of space around it. So this combination is actually very interesting. So at this point it has a total sound style of being very warm with sufficient bass. The treble is being a little bit recessed, less forwards, but with good extension. It has a really good space and airy sound at this area, but still going to have less clarity and less detail. So if you have Starfield already and you're looking for something to save the treble area of Starfield, this is not a good option to go. You should just go directly to the Blessing 2 for a much better treble response. Now comparing it with Starfield and Blessing 2. This one has a little bit more warmth and bass than Starfield, and the treble has a much better extension. So this combination gives you a more sufficient and enjoyable bass, and at the same time gives you a really good treble with a great feeling of space, and it also gives you a bigger soundstage to listen to. So you can see this as a pretty decent upgrade from Starfield, having a little bit more warmth and having a bigger soundstage and a much better treble extension. Comparing it with KXXS, it still goes the same. A little bit more warmth, a better bass extension, and much better treble extension. And also with KATO, you have these two different nozzles to change and have pretty different two sound style with only one IEM. So this extra $80 of upgrades, I think that's pretty worth it because of this distinct new sound style and one extra sound style you can switch and enjoy. Now comparing it with Blessing 2, can it compete with Blessing 2? Well, yes and no. Blessing 2 is a really balanced, very well detailed, and very natural sounding, a really great pair of IEMs, but it costs a little bit more. KATO has a warmer bass response, though it has a less treble, but this tuning of having a really warm mid-range and bass is probably more appealing to some of people. So you can have this really enjoyable bass response and warmth with far less money. But speaking of its overall performance, the overall detail, overall neutrality, and the balance between treble and bass area, Blessing is definitely much better than KATO. So if you're looking for a really balanced and more detailed IEMs, Blessing is still the better option. If you're looking for a warmer and more affordable IEMs, then KATO is going to be a better option for you. So now we put all these IEMs together, first starting with KXXS and KATO. KXXS is not going to be recommended because now we have KATO, which is a much better upgraded version of it, speaking of sound and build quality, and they are exactly the same price. So now this is not going to be a consideration. And comparing this with Starfield, this can be seen as a decent upgrade of Starfield as well. Now it has a more bass extension, the treble extension, it has a little more warmth into it, the overall detail is a little better, and the build quality is definitely much higher than Starfield. This comfort is also improved more, so this $80 of extra money is definitely well spent to get this upgrade. But still, Starfield is going to be a very decent option too, because spending a very less money can still get a very decent Moondrop style of sound. And this still sounds very good with this price range. But if you already had Starfield and you're looking for something new to save its less clear and less forward treble area, KATO is probably not a best option because it still doesn't elevate the treble area. It still has very less clear and less forward, less emphasized treble. So if you have something like that in your mind, then definitely Blessing 2 is going to be a best option. It costs a little more money, but this is a very well detailed, very balanced, very natural sounding IEMs. So according to your preference, now you can choose one of these three IEMs, KATO, Blessing 2, and Starfield. So now we get to the question of, if KATO has much better quality than KXXS, why does it still have the same price? Well, when it's on the market, it's not only competing with KXXS, it still have to compete with other these crazy high value IEMs like Starfield and Blessing too. So you can have a really basic but decent sounding IEMs for much lower price if KATO has a higher price, and by adding a little bit more money to it, you can get Blessing 2, which is also performing much better than KATO. So now this price range is actually very good. Being $180 is very well balanced with other Moondrop IEMs, and this is a very good pricing strategy, I would say. And now comparing KATO with similarly priced Tanchjim Hana. Hana is a little bit more safely tuned. Treble is still going to be very present, while KATO has less treble and having a warmer and better bass response, but the Kato has still overall more pleasing bass. So I would say this sounds a little bit more better than Hana. But Hana, this one looks really beautiful, and this cable and the IEM itself is really beautiful, and this tuning is actually a very safe, decent tuning for a beginner for this hobby. So one occasion that I would recommend Hana more than Kato is that if you have a girlfriend or a wife that you want to drag them into the hobby and want to prepare them a gift, and then this is going to be a way better option because of this is really elegant appearance and very friendly and safe tuning. So this is going to be all for today's review. Please leave a like if you have enjoyed the video, and you can ask me anything in the comment section, and subscribe to get more each week. And I hope you enjoy your music.